Alright, welcome back for another match with Worldly Tutor Reanimator playing against Philo. I think I've played against this person before, but I, off the top of my head, can't remember what they're on. I mulliganed that first one because it's a no-lander on the draw. This one, this hand doesn't do anything. I guess, well, it does something. I mean, I could Thoughtseize a Gristlebrand on turn 1 and then Animate Dead It on turn 2. But that just loses to, like, any form of interaction whatsoever. So I want something a little bit better. Okay, here we are. This hand has a turn 1 Thoughtseize and a turn 2 Entomb Animate Dead. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for. I guess I'm going to throw back... I mean, if I'm feeling really lucky about drawing a land in the next 2 turns, I throw back the Underground Mortuary, because that's what allows me to Entomb Animate Dead. I think the chance of drawing one of... Yeah, I've got 2 draw steps to find an untapped land. I think that's pretty good odds. I mean, yeah, it's... What, 13 hits? Yeah, it's like better than 50% chance, let's say, with a couple of draw steps to get there. Alright, so we see a swamp. Don't really know what they're doing. Let's Thoughtseize them and find out. Alright, so we're playing against... okay, I've played against this deck before. It's like a black-white scam, Stoneforge Mystic initiative thing that is 100% miserable. Absolutely horrible matchup to play against. So I think, I mean, we have to take the Reanimate here. I would like to, if I had a Reanimate in my hand instead of an Animate Dead, I would Reanimate the Seasoned Engineer, but that's not what I have, so I have to take the Reanimate. And I'm choosing not to play out the Petal because I don't think this deck plays Thalia. Well, yeah, let's just play the Petal. I don't think they're going to destroy it. And in the event that they cast Grief, this gives them one less choice to take from. So now we're just kind of fingers crossed that we can draw our next mana source. And so like Dark Ritual does it, Lotus Petal does it, any one of our 13 lands does it. This kind of screws our plans pretty good. I don't think there's any purpose in casting an Entomb because they're obviously going to take the Animate Dead. So they exiled an Animate Dead, they dumped the Grief. Alright, now we're just kind of counting on the very high redundancy of our deck to dig us out of this. But I think this is among the more awful matchups to play against. So I could unmask them here and take the Lion Sash, and I kind of think that's the play, because once that's in, then like I have 0 chance of beating a Lion Sash. So let's get rid of that. The good news is that they're a ways away from like casting the Seasoned Engineer, and the Wasteland doesn't do anything against me just yet. And yeah, I mean, there's 12 cards in the deck that bring a creature back. I've got something to reanimate one sitting in my hand. Worldly Tutor. I get Tutor for a Troll, then I lose my Lotus Petal. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass it. So here comes the Dungeoneer. Alright, so this significantly speeds up the clock, so I think I need to be willing to take a little bit riskier plays. And I think that means casting the Entomb so that if I hit a 2-mana reanimation spell, that's a live draw. Now the question is, do I take Gristlebrand or do I take Atraxa? I think I want Atraxa because that way, if my life total is under pressure, I can still get cards off of Atraxa. Alright, that's not what we're looking for. But it will give us a Surveil this next turn. But it basically has to be this turn, otherwise we're going to die to the initiative creature. But yeah, this is this is kind of going off the rails. I really needed them to not draw a black card for the grief that one turn. But so it goes. They find a Bowmaster, so I guess good thing we didn't take Grizzlebrand. But yeah, I think it would take a really exceptional couple of draws to come out of this, because we're going to get trapped next turn and be at effectively 4 and then die to the Dungeoneer. So it would take something just like over the top in order to come back from this. That's not it. And what's the draw? Alright, so this is a deck with main deck Reanimate and main deck Animate Dead and Grief. I don't think matchups get much worse than this, and I think if we're going to win, it has to be off a very lucky Chain of Smog combo, because they're going to have like every every sort of graveyard hate you could possibly imagine. So I'm going to leave in one Archon because I can still Worldly Tutor for it. And the other card I want, I'm going to get the Sedgemoor Witch in here, and I'm going to get the Voidwalkers in. I could put in Surgical as defense against their graveyard stuff, and that might be better than a Dark Ritual. And I think the Seiju might also be better than 2 of these Dark Rituals, because they're also on a mana denial plan. So yeah, this is a tough matchup, so I think we just have to kind of hope for a very lucky Smog hand for that. Alright, what's this hand do? This is a turn 1 Archon of Cruelty backed up with the turn 1 Grief them, so I can go Petal, Dark Ritual, Cabal Therapy myself, Reanimate, and I've got Grief Witherbloom. Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly what I anticipated the hand would be, but we play these. What kind of hate do you have? Let's get rid of the Surgical Extraction and hope that they cannot find a white card. Yeah, the one of Archon of Cruelty still in the deck is gonna have to do some really heavy lifting. Let's see if we can get there. What are they gonna discard? And we draw a Witherbloom Apprentice, which is fine. Okay, so they dump the Solitude. That's interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting, because that seems like that's their out. I wonder what their plan is. Oh, they're gonna Animate Dead the Solitude. That's what their out is. I get it. Yep, take my Witherbloom Apprentice. Okay, well, we have a mana source. That's excellent. Now I need some hand disruption or some kind of a follow-up so that they can't get rid of my Archon. Troll, that's kind of a follow-up. Yeah, they're going to Animate Dead the Solitude. I've beaten up their resources pretty good here, but mean, I could Cabal Therapy them here and just take their Animate dead, and then I've still got my Archon in the graveyard instead of having it exiled, and then it's just a question of which of us can top deck a Reanimate spell more quickly. Which honestly seems like not the worst plan compared to them having, yeah, my guy exiled. Yeah, let's just, this denies them a... This denies them a creature, they're just stuck with a Grief in hand, and I've got this Troll, which can maybe, find me some action. So there's the Marsh Flats that we knew about. They've got a Grief. They Grief pitch Grief, and are going to hit absolutely nothing. Alright, well, we're now into the scrappy top deck game, which I think, yeah, I mean, we'll see who hits something first. And we are the ones to hit something first. Get wrecked. Play the Mortuary and get a Surveil. Spin it. Alright. Let's see what they got. That's a pretty good draw. Alright. We've got a Thoughtseize that doesn't really help us. Sure. Troll gets cycled. Yeah, that can give us a game-ending creature next turn. And they're going to animate dead a Troll. That's, you know, I'm not going to say I'm, like, pleased about it, but it doesn't interfere with the line that we're going for. So let's Worldly Tutor. And, yeah, get the Voidwalker. Alright, let's see if they can top deck another Swords to Plowshares. Alright, going to game 3. So they didn't get to see any part of our Chain of Smog plan, which is good. They still kind of are going to have to think that we're pretty deep on our Reanimator gameplay, because that's what we went for. The hate we saw was a Surgical, and they've got their own Animate spells, so I don't think that changes our sideboard plan. Maybe I want to cut the Chrome Mox because it's a bad top deck, and put in a Shallow Grave. I mean, the card's not like exceptional here, but it has text. It would have been, I mean, it would have been a fine draw for a couple turns there. Alright, this has the, yeah, this has Grief, Reanimate Grief into Witherbloom into Chain of Smog. Yeah, that's a keeper. Let's see if they have anything that disrupts us. Well, let's see what they take. I think they're basically obligated to take the Reanimate here. I mean, maybe they have their own Reanimate and they get to take 2 cards, and then we're in a not so great spot, but this hand has really good redundancy. Like, yeah, and I think whenever you grief, if you don't have your own reanimate, you basically have to take their reanimate. The other option would be to like hit the Chain of Smog, because that's just a game-ending threat. Okay. I have to assume that that means they have a surgical in their hand. I mean, why else would you do that? Yeah, the only line that makes sense on is if they're on a surgical. Because, yeah, if I reanimate and they get to tag my grief, then I'm way behind. So I think I go for the Voidwalker here, or a Withered Bloom Apprentice. I mean, I think maybe the line here is just to hope to get lucky and spike a swamp and kill them with Chain of Smog. Because I haven't... I mean, I guess they have Swords of Plowshares and they have Solitudes, but... a hand that I'm pretty confident to have a read on them for a surgical, because like otherwise that play is just total nonsense. Like you don't just take the grief so that the other person can reanimate it. So let's see what they've got. Okay, cycle the troll. So they must have just drawn that troll, otherwise they would have played that last turn. And now I can grief them and see what's going on in their hand. I think the Voidwalker is probably the least impactful part here, because the graveyard's already stacked, so it's a little too late. Let's see what's going on over there. Now they're having to figure out if... I mean, yeah, okay, so we're going to get a Solitude out of their hand. I guess that's good. And I've still got another Witherbloom Apprentice, so... Huh. So they're thinking really hard as to whether they surgical something now, and I think, yeah. Okay, so they don't want me going for the troll. That's a reasonable enough sort of play. Alright, let's see what the last card in their hand is. Dauthi Voidwalker. And so, okay, the plays I have available, I can reanimate. The best target is probably the Voidwalker, or I could hold the reanimate back to be able to cast it and take a Solitude later. I think I want the Voidwalker, because it'll apply some immediate pressure, and it'll turn off their graveyard. And yeah, right now the only reanimation targets are griefs, which that's a race that I win, so. Unmask. Let's hold back on that for now. And something else worth thinking about is, like, what are cards that they're going to be keeping in their hand that they wouldn't want to play? I mean, Seasoned Dungeoneer as a 4-drop seems like a reasonable possibility for that. Well, let's just go ahead and find out. They're busy cursing their bad luck and my amazing top decks and regretting their life and wishing that they had played a different deck. And okay, yeah. Okay, it's a Fairy Macabre. That's fine. So something else worth keeping track of are like what are the cards in exile that they have. Okay. So now we're back to the spot of I really want to land. There it is. And yeah, let's see if they draw an answer. Ooh, we got there. Okay. Good game, opponent. I think that's a very tough matchup and one that I'm happy to win. I feel really good about the read on the surgical in the first couple turns because I think had I tried to reanimate the grief that they picked out of my hand, then they had surgicaled it. That would have been like a tempo loss that would have like absolutely taken me out of the game. So yeah, I'm pretty happy and proud with that. I'm sure there's some other errors that I might have made in the second game. Now I can't remember. Did I lose the first or the second game? Whatever. We won the match. So thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you enjoy this content. Please leave me a comment with any thoughts or suggestions on the gameplay or things I can do to make this channel better. And I hope to see you in the next one.